Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all doing fantastic and that you're all having an absolutely incredible day. Don't forget to follow me on, someone just sent a $7 million transaction. Did you see that? That was absolutely insane. Why did I hurt myself? Don't forget to follow me on Facebook. There's a link in the description below, and without any further ado, let's jump right into it. I know I said it before, but it's true. We have far too many things happening at the exact same time within this market, and it is becoming quite overwhelming just based on the complexity and density of the news within this market. Once again, as typically always, it's all good news. It's actually all great news. But there seems to, this is what I believe. There's a bit of like disillusionment within the space simply because it's not often that a market will have consistently good news and then also have no real effect on the actual asset in question. So you couldn't or wouldn't normally hear that Apple made $700 billion in profit. They opened up a new headquarters. They bought 15 new locations in great places around the world. And they have an extra $39 billion in cash inside of their bank accounts, and then you see the price go down. It just would not be a thing. But in crypto, this is what we're kind of used to. So, yes, beginning with all of the insanity that's going on. Once again, all good insanity, but it leads me to like, I just really want prices to be like 5 times higher than where they currently are, because it would make a lot more sense, I think, for all of us as a community to be like, okay, now this makes a little bit more sense. So working slightly backwards and then moving forward, it'll all make a lot of sense to you. The SEC once again in the news is closing its investigation into OpenSea. According to NFT Marketplace's founder and CEO, the decision is seen as positive. Yes, it's actually very positive, obviously. Positive for the cryptocurrency industry and NFT creators, and comes shortly after the SEC moved to end its lawsuit against Coinbase. If you were not here last year and the year before, Gary Gensler, I know I'm not supposed to say Voldemort's name anymore. The problem is that he comes up in all of these discussions. As the former head of the SEC, he went on a bit of a tirade where basically everything that touched crypto was bad or awful or something in his eyes. He claimed that, first of all, every crypto exchange was doing something wrong and or was laundering money. But he also claimed that OpenSea, as it is the biggest NFT marketplace, basically was doing something wrong by allowing people to buy NFTs. He claimed that they were securities, as Gary Gensler, if you didn't see it, said that everything, even Bitcoin, within the space was a security, but they had to, I don't know what kind of money was being passed around when they announced that Bitcoin and Ether were not securities. But he basically said everything else. Even the idea of like buying a piece of art as an NFT to him was a security, which is also insane because no other asset class has that kind of classification. If you buy a piece of art from an artist, it's not like, here's your security. Like, it just doesn't work that way. So a lot of these cases, if not all of them, I think there were maybe 2 companies that seemed relatively fraudulent, but they were very tiny companies that popped up out of nowhere. Everything else was just like what I call a cash grab, because we found out that every time that the SEC filed a lawsuit against someone or a company, what have you, at the end of it, they held out their hand and they said, give me some monies. And that was the dirty cherry on top of the cake, when we heard that the lawsuit against the SEC, no, the Ripple lawsuit versus the SEC, when that was coming to an end. If you missed that, the SEC demanded, I think, $3 billion from Ripple, the company. And I was like, their charges don't even remotely amount to that. There was some negotiation, and I think it went down to like $100 million, which is also egregious. And I was like, what happened to the other $2.9 billion worth of charges? You guys were clearly lying. So as we have a brand new, and I mean, I think 3 of the members are still the same, but they're not crazy. A brand new SEC with a brand new head of the SEC, we're seeing all of these investigations and lawsuits like dropping quite rapidly. As I said before, I do not think that every crypto exchange within the United States was actively trying to make sure that they did something illegal. It was from the vantage point of Gary Gensler, just trying to get massive control over the space. The other part is that like seeing all these things beginning to like end allows us to actually move forward as a space without having to explicitly worry about regulators. The issue is that regulation should happen to keep like consumer protection in place to help everyone, but you don't do it by launching investigations or lawsuits against these companies. You do it by giving proper rules and regulations that they have to follow. So yeah, things are moving in the right direction. The US SEC is closing its investigation into major non-fungible token marketplace OpenSea. The platform's founder and CEO Devin Finser said on social media. There's okay, cool, awesome, right there. A little bit lower. Fantastic. The regulator issued a Wells notice against OpenSea in August of 2024, indicating it was planning on pursuing an enforcement action against it. The regulator alleged the platform may have been operating as an unregistered securities marketplace. It's laughable because all you can do is laugh in situations like that. It doesn't help if I get angry or annoyed. It's just like corruption exists, and we have to hope at some point that it ends up being squashed out or removed in some sort of way. So yeah, this is actually incredible news. It will allow people to begin to like build again and actually do things, especially within the space. We've had about 4 like back to back every single day instances where another lawsuit gets dropped against another company. I don't know how many more lawsuits there actually are, but people are assuming that as it's been daily, that we're going to get more of these things over the coming weeks as well, tying loosely, probably into it as well. Expectations are still very high for this market. As I said before, I know a lot of people may see prices drop and they get annoyed, or prices rise. I've seen people complain about price rises because they go, it's not enough. So a coin may rise by 7, 8, 9, 10% one day, the next day by 3%, the next day by 2%, the next day by 5%. And I've seen people online being like, why isn't it going higher? Like that kind of thing. So, but the overall theme and energy within the room from analysts is that things are like pretty thumbs up, and things are probably only going to go further in the nicer direction than where they previously were before. Cryptocurrency research firm called Bernstein has released a new analysis predicting a major shift in the digital asset market as the Trump administration eases regulatory restrictions. They're not even easing regulatory restrictions. They're just literally I say this way. They're just doing what they should have done before. We're so used to living under this idea of like the SEC being absolute monsters and criminals that you just get used to the criminality and you go, okay, well, that's just the way that things are. But when you actually like have, because if you didn't see it, Hester Pierce is the head of like some new faction of the SEC. I forgot exactly, like the crypto assembly. I forgot exactly what it's called. But we're not used to the idea of a member of the SEC who has authority being like, oh, let me help you. Do you guys want to do something? Okay, cool. Fill out this paperwork. Let's work together. We're not used to it. So the idea of there being like something else is like, this is a major ease of No, it's not an ease. It's what should have been done before. No other asset class had this much scrutiny when they were doing anything, nonetheless trying to get ETFs. It just wasn't a thing. Like, remember I told you before, this was also one of like the big revelations to me. The US was people in the US were trying to get Bitcoin ETFs for over a decade, over 10 years. And then when we started hearing rumors that other countries might have them, I remember the sentiment in the news was like, well, the US hasn't gotten one, so the other countries are definitely not going to get one. And then we got multiple in Canada, Bitcoin and Ethereum in Singapore and Hong Kong. And I was like, of course that's how it works. Regulators regulate. You talk with the companies, you work with them. Hey guys, we actually looked at and reviewed your paperwork and we noticed there were some issues on page 12, 37, and 44. Can you explain those to us? Let's work together. See you guys next Tuesday. There's no outright no's because you're corrupt. It's like, let's work together. It's just, according to the report, the previous crackdown on utility tokens and NFT projects forced. So this is what Bernstein has to say about why people actually moved over to meme coins. According to the report, the previous crackdown on utility tokens and NFT projects forced the crypto industry to rely on useless meme coins. However, with a more relaxed regulatory environment, analysts expect liquidity to return to utility-focused sectors such as decentralized finance, GameFi, and NFTs. This is what I was saying months ago, but I wasn't quite as eloquent. This idea of like, of course everyone was running to meme coins, or rather most people, because it's this idea of normally during a market cycle, we see altcoins do well. Meme coins were created as a gigantic distraction from actual altcoins and Bitcoin as the thing that would give the returns. If you hear that everything is regulatorily stamped on or stomped on in some sort of way, new people to this market, this is what I said before, they don't know where to go. If you have a chance to help someone get into this market and they want to learn, like teach them what's correct. Don't give them, well, this meme coin looks good, this meme coin looks good. They're literal garbage. They are literal garbage. They're memes. They're jokes. They're not going to go anywhere. So this idea of like an easing up or like allowing companies to do what they were doing before with regulatory guidelines shouldn't be something that we're celebrating. We should have had this before. So a lot of analysts have been expecting for a while, if you didn't see it in general, a lot of people have been expecting the NFT market to kind of like resurge. The only thing that's kind of a glimmer of hope right now, if you're not on Twitter that often and don't really see what people are discussing, is that like with the recent market drop that we had, meme coins were kind of completely washed out, nearly completely like washed away into the darkness. And people realize that people are realizing that they're actual garbage and shouldn't be a part of a portfolio. What usually happens during a bull run, usually the coins that have the most utility, the most usage, get the money that actually moves towards them. This is why it's such a huge distraction, because the pumps in price that we should have had, that money was allocated to meme coins. Every time that any whatever meme coin was launched, you saw it on the news, the prices jumped by 14,000%. And then other people figured out they could do the exact same thing. You saw what was the president of Argentina? First of all, there were, I think, like 5 other countries whose leaders did the exact same thing. And then they took all the money from it. They like a literal rug pull. And then these new people enter the market. They don't know what to do because they don't understand what's going on. People who are in the market also ran onto these coins. By the time you figure out something, the scam is usually done. Like you are like at the bottom of the pyramid. But a lot of people don't think that way. They think that they're the first person actually hearing it. And that's why there was somebody on Twitter, and I was speaking to someone else as well. They had been involved in, I think, 14 different rug pulls. They were so adamant that this cycle was going to be like a meme coin cycle, and they lost all their money. And I was like, after the second time of something not going right, I stepped back and I'm like, okay, that's not for me. 14 times is crazy. Like crazy goo goo gaga, like he's a little crazy kind of thing. So that liquidity that we saw before that should have been, rising the market in January, March, and now also January, February, and now March, was just pushed into meme coins. So hopefully we actually see some light return to sanity. For those of you who don't know, maybe you missed a lot of those videos. NFTs are still really big. This misconception that is just like monkeys and all these other kinds of things is nonsense. There are national banks, museums around the world who are still collecting NFTs. They're if you understand what provenance is basically like proof of, it's like a certificate of authenticity that says like this is what it is and it came from this. Provenance has always historically been paper, but being able to have like a digital certificate that's on a chain and it's there forever increases the idea of like provenance in unforeseen ways. You can't fake it. We can see on chain that this one came from 2023 kind of thing. Anyway, NFTs are still absolutely major. It's just a matter of like people kind of moving back into the sector because there's been so much, I don't know, smoke and mirrors, whatever the term might actually be. Yeah, there was also something a couple of weeks ago, if you missed it, from Changpeng Cao, who says something similar to this. He was like, yeah, we need to get away from meme coins. Like, they're not doing anything for the market. Like, they're doing absolute nothing, jack diddly squat, and just, people have to realize that. That's not where the actual money is made, and nonetheless, the long-term money. So, yeah, it looks like things might start becoming normal again as people get away from meme coins, hopefully. Let's move on. Also I feel like I should be surprised, and I'm a little surprised. This is also now everyday news. The NASDAQ has submitted Form 19B-4 to the United States Securities and Exchange Commission to list and trade Grayscale's spot Polkadot ETF shares. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, Grayscale is on a roll right now. I believe this is the fifth altcoin that they're trying to convert from one of their their trusts that they have into an actual ETF. As we mentioned before, if you didn't see it, the entire reason really why we actually even have Bitcoin ETFs is because of Grayscale. Grayscale winning the lawsuit against the SEC broke open the doorway for Bitcoin ETFs. Since then, and as far as we know, Grayscale follows all regulatory channels that they need to. They're filing a lot of different altcoin ETF proposals right now. And even crazier is that we're hearing daily that the NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange, ARCA, and the CBOE are also filing on behalf of these companies as well to get these things listed. So we just heard about the Cardano ETF that was proposed. There's multiple XRP ones. What was the other coin? There was some other coin that we just heard. Was it? I don't remember. Anyway, the point is Polkadot apparently is also there right now as well. Polkadot was extremely popular in 2020, 2021. I could not really tell you why. I know it was a very popular project, and everyone always throws information at me. They were doing this and they were upgrading this and they had elves that made shoes, and there's always something. It's like, oh, wow, that's cool. That's awesome. It's impossible to keep up with every single coin, but there clearly must be some kind of institutional interest if they're actually trying to get this one through. This exchange-traded fund aims to track the actual price of Polkadot's currency, known as DOT, which ranks as number 26 on the cryptocurrency market. As announced, the ETF will trade under the ticker DOT. This will allow investors to gain direct exposure to the Polkadot network's main asset. Yeah. Kind of interesting, simply because it feels like Grayscale's kind of just doing as many as they possibly can to see which ones actually stick. It's weird, once again, how blasé everyone is about a lot of this news. I'm not expecting you to throw a party because of a Polkadot ETF. But the idea is that this means that there's institutional interest. Like, it's in Grayscale's best interest to get this thing to actually go through so that more institutions put money into that asset. If more money goes into that asset, the price of it will rise, the entire thing, how it goes. But before any filing for a coin was cool, and just a filing. But now we've gotten to the point where these things are even being listed. Is it the DTCC? The actual website where when it's filed on there, it's basically going to happen. When that is even taking place, people in crypto aren't noticing it. They're just kind of, I don't know. I still think crypto has a gigantically big future. There's so many movements in the right direction when it comes to where this space should have gone years ago. And there's just not enough excitement for me when we keep getting good news every single day. I don't know what it is. I don't know what people need to convince them, but no, the market's doing extremely well. Coins, the levels of adoption are once again off the charts, but it feels like no one is going to be happy until Bitcoin's at 300,000 and XRP's at $15. No one's looking at the long-term prospects here. Yeah, this was slightly popular news. It's happening daily. So that's also something to throw out there as well. I can't imagine what their next coin is going to be. Because the Cardano one also threw me for a loop as well. We haven't had any real Cardano news in a while, but if Cardano gets an ETF, if not multiple of them, it's going to be absolutely gigantic for the coin. We were already discussing a $10 ADA just by normal bull run movements. So who knows? That's the Grayscale's Polkadot ETF news. Let's move on. Also in the news, which didn't make any popular news, I think everyone is just not... Is everyone here? Clap twice if you're still here, because I feel like I'm alone. The Banco Nacional, one of Costa Rica's largest commercial banks, playing a pivotal role in the region's financial landscape, managing approximately $7 billion in assets. The state-owned bank is set to introduce a new policy to their banking system. The bank's investment management division, BN Fondos, is preparing to launch the country's first cryptocurrency-based investment fund. The fund will be classified as a spot Bitcoin ETF and marks a significant milestone as Costa Rica's inaugural crypto investment product. In addition to the Bitcoin ETF, the bank plans to offer an ETF based on the S&P 500 index. The minimum investment for both funds is set. That's nothing. The minimum investment is set at $100. Okay. With transactions conducted in US dollars rather than the local currency, which is quite common. And this is why the US dollar is the world reserve currency, because if you don't know history at all, countries are more or less forced to use the US dollar or end their transactions in the US dollar. That's what gives the US dollar strength. Pablo Montes de Oca, general manager of BN Fondos, provided insights into the nature of the product. He noted that Costa Rican regulations and so-and-so, which is why Bitcoin categorized as cool. Awesome. So this is another bank, which we're also getting like 3 times a week now, which is a little weird. We had news yesterday or the day before. There was another. Oh God, no. What am I talking about? It was the Bank of Montreal. What I'm like some tiny bank was mentioned. The Bank of Montreal, for those of you who missed it, according to their SEC filing, which they were forced to do, announced that they have $113 million worth of BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF shares. What was the other one? Oh gosh, there was another bank. Oh gosh, whatever. Anyway, the Bank of Montreal, and then the day before that, there was another bank who also announced, or rather was foresaid to, by their SEC filing. People found out that this bank had apparently been buying since Q4 of last year, and then people found that they had filed and listed something else with the SEC recently, dug through it and was like, wait, you guys have been buying Bitcoin for a while. Can't remember the name of the bank. They have $160 million. $160 million worth of Bitcoin ETF shares as well. So in a lot of situations like this, and I think this is what people think or what they see or what they presume. If we hear that a bank is getting into Bitcoin or a bank is getting into like Bitcoin ETFs, a lot of the speculation, especially years ago when we had a lot of banks announcing they were getting into buying, holding, and selling Bitcoin, people hear that it's going to happen, not that something is already taking place. If you hear that a bank is preparing to be able to hold and sell Bitcoin to their customers, the first thing that enters my mind is that you can't sell it if you don't have it. So these banks are clearly buying up Bitcoin in an effort to be able to have enough stock to be able to, sell to their clients or manage for their clients. So in situations like when you hear that it's literally called Banco Nacional. When you hear this national bank in Costa Rica is getting ready to offer and have Bitcoin ETFs of their own, do you think the bank is going to sit there and go, well, we can't buy until next week? No, they've probably been buying for a very long time. And then they have other customers who are very rich who are like, hey, I need you guys to offer this as well. And they go, cool. We're going to start buying up even more Bitcoin to actually, you also need liquidity for these products. You don't start a Bitcoin ETF at $0. You have to buy up the Bitcoin to provide liquidity for the market so that people can literally buy into it and also sell. So, yeah, nothing but substantial news every single day. And I know, believe me, I'm here as well. I see the confusion in so many people's faces when we keep getting all this good news and you need to have been here for multiple cycles. When I say it, I'm not trying to be cool. Like, I've been here for a few cycles, so I know it's going on. No, you don't understand what it means for the market to go down unless you've been here. You don't really get to see or really understand why the market's going up unless you've been here. Like, things happen during current, every single market cycle. And this one appears to be no different than all the other ones. Even over the course of the year after the halving, there are always movements down in the market. It's never, ever a straight shot up. And that's what a lot of new people to the market typically don't understand. They get annoyed. They get frustrated. It always happens this way. I promise you. So I still think we will hit incredible prices. I'm not aiming for the $1 million Bitcoin, but 250, 300,000, as many of the analysts have been saying, seems completely believable. The market will do well again. It's just more of I know, believe me, we keep getting nothing but good news, and it's just time for the market to actually respond to it. But a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people in retail, somebody was showing a chart as far as the I don't know what the words are, annoyed, euphoria, belief, that kind of thing. And their chart basically showed that we're kind of this, not even disbelief. It's kind of nothing's going to happen. And we still have the entire way to go up. But every single cycle, it's always the same. adoption's increasing like crazy. So I hope that everyone is accumulating the crypto that they want before prices go up too high, and then my comment section is filled with, oh no, I didn't have enough time to buy the thing that I had 3 years to buy. You know, I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.